Hello, everybody, and welcome to my first episode of my YouTube series of Proverbs, going through the book of Proverbs every day this month. And I pray and hope that this is an encouragement to you guys, and I really hope that you guys enjoy this. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, before we get into the book of Proverbs, I want to do a little introduction of what we're going to be looking at. And I kind of mentioned a little bit in my title of Proverbs of how this is God's encouragement to you. And that's what I want this to be, is an encouragement for you guys, and just going through each of these chapters of things that we can take to heart and be encouraged by what God is trying to teach us every single day. So, first of all, I have a little introduction here in my book, and I want to read it to you guys. And it says, "The Gospel in Proverbs. The book of Proverbs is one of the many ways God spoke, leading us to his only Son, Jesus. What stands out about the book of Proverbs is its gracious offer of divine wisdom for foolish and weak people." Now, when it's talking about this, it's saying that it's not just for specific people, but this is for everybody. People who are wise and people that are foolish. And that's going to be every single person on this planet. None of us are perfect, and that's why this book was written, was for people to learn from their mistakes and to learn how they can improve themselves. And that is what I am excited to start in this book with, is how we can learn from our mistakes and be better people and better Christians and be better influences to people in our lives. So without further ado, let's open up and read the first 7 verses of chapter 1. If you guys want to follow with me, I'm reading from the ESV version, so if you guys would like to follow along, that would be great. Right, starting in verse 1, it says here, "The Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel. To know wisdom and instruction, to understand words of insight, to receive instructions in wise dealing, in righteous justice and equity, to give prudence to the simple, knowledge and discretion to the youth. Let the wise hear and increase in learning, and the one who understands obtain guidance. To understand a proverb and a saying, the words of the wise and their riddles. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction." Now, in my Bible, I highlighted this last verse because it was something that spoke out to me, and it was also a verse that I used to memorize when I was in school, and I just really like it. Saying, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, and fools despise wisdom and instruction." So what it's saying here is that the fear of the Lord, we're not talking about a fear as in like trembling fear, like, "Oh, please don't hurt me, please, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry I messed up." It's not like that. Now, knowing God, we should have a healthy amount of fear. Be like, "Oh, I don't want to mess up," but not like a trembling fear. Like every time we mess up, it's going to be like, "Oh no, please don't hurt me. Please, I'm so sorry." It's not like that, but it's a fear of like reverence of like, for example, like a king back in the olden times, back in this time, when someone would have fear for a king, it was more of respect and reverence of being like, "You are the king. I want to respect and honor you in every way possible." That's what it's talking about here, is that the beginning of learning how to properly fear Lord, the God of God, is the beginning of knowledge. Because when we learn that, we begin to learn more knowledge of who God really is and what God does for us. And that's what it's saying here. And then fools despise wisdom and instruction. I mean, that's very self-evident, obviously, that people who are foolish don't want to learn more about God, and they choose to turn away from God. And we see that a lot in this day and age, even back then. People don't want to learn about God because they think they're better. Starting in verse 8, it says here, "Hear, my son, your father's instructions, and forsake not your mother's teaching. For they are a graceful garland for your head and a pendant for your neck." Now, these 2 verses I really like because it is making an emphasis of us wanting to respect our parents, because our parents have a lot more experience than we'll ever have, because they've gone through life and they want to give that knowledge to us so we can be better in our life, not make the same mistakes that they might have made. And that's what it's saying here is, "My son, listen to your father's instructions and do not forsake your mother's teaching," because they have so much wisdom. And that's what he's trying to tell us, is listen to your parents. They have so much wisdom to give you. It's so important and it's so good. And I've been in those situations now being married where I'm like, wow, I'm so glad my parents taught me this, because I could have made a really big mistake. And it's so important. That's what it's saying right here. And it's so cool. In verse 10, it says, "My sons, if sinners entice you, do not consent. If they say, 'Come with us, let us lie in wait for blood. Let us ambush the innocent without reason. Like Sheol, let us swallow them alive and whole, like those who go down to the pit. We shall find all precious goods. We shall fill our houses with plunder. Throw in your lot among us. We will all have one purse. My son, do not walk in the way with them. Hold back your foot from their paths, for their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed blood. For in vain is a net spread in the sight of any bird. But these men lie in wait for their own blood. They set an ambush for their own lives. Such are the ways of everyone who is greedy for unjust gain. It takes away the life of its possessors." Now, this is there's a lot to take into this verse, but the big majority of what they're trying to say is do not let people take you down the wrong path. Now, the way they described it in this verse is more contextual to like the history behind when this was written. But to take it into our own personal lives and at this day and age, is saying, don't let people entice you to do the wrong thing. Like, say you're with your friends, or like, hey, we're thinking of going to the gas station and stealing a couple of drinks. You want to come with us, and we'll go and hang out afterwards. That's kind of what it's saying here. Don't let people make you go down the wrong path. And that's obviously like a crazy one, but it could be the same one. Like, hey, my friends and I are gonna go get a smoke. You want to come with us? Don't let those evil voices in your head entice you to go down that wrong path. And that's what it's saying here. Like Sheol, let us swallow them alive. That's what's gonna happen. But I love verse 15, just talking about like just the encouragement of do not fall into this. It's saying, "My son, do not walk in the way with them. Hold back your foot from their paths." Another great example I think about this is Joseph and Potter's wife. He was tempted with Potter's wife. She's like, "Lay with me, come lay in bed with me." And Joseph was like, "No, I'm not going to do that." And he chose to run away from sin. And that's what it's saying in here. When there's that temptation, do not fall into that sin. Run the other direction. Do not try to fight it, because you will not win. Temptation will always win. The only way to win is run away and run towards God. That is the only way to win. And I just love how encouraging that is, of saying like, do not try to fight this. Do not walk into that path, but walk towards God. Run away from that temptation. And that's something I want to encourage you guys with, because even as a believer, I still struggle with temptations every day. And that's one thing I want a lot of people to understand, is just because I'm a Christian doesn't mean that I don't struggle. If anything, as a Christian, I struggle more, because there are these temptations and I'm turning away from them. But Satan is like, no, you should go into this. I want you to turn away from God. But for people who aren't believers, who voluntarily live in that sin, they're not tempted because they're just living in that sin, because it's not a struggle, because they just choose automatically to do it. And it's different for us Christians. It's a lot harder. So let's get into verse 20. And it starts off with the call of wisdom. So this is going to be a lot to take in. It says here, "Wisdom cries aloud in the street. In the market she raises her voice. At the head of the noisy street she cries out. At the entrance of the city gate she speaks. How long, O simple ones, will you love being simple? How long will scoffers delight in their scoffing, and fools hate knowledge? If you turn at my reproof, behold, I will pour out my spirit to you. I will make my words known to you." Now, this is actually kind of an interesting way to put this. Now, one thing that I want to give you guys a heads up on is a lot of the things in this, when it's making analogies, is it will reference it in like a female term. Now, I'm not exactly sure why. That's something I'm wanting to learn too, but I kind of like how they put it in this way, because it talks about how like wisdom cries out loud in the streets, in the market, she raises her voice. It's talking about all these situations where it's like, we can make wise decisions, and it's calling out, it's like, make the right decision. But a lot of times we ignore that voice. We ignore the voice of making those wise decisions, ignoring that wisdom, especially when it's calling out to us, but we choose to ignore it and just forget about it. Verse 22, "How long, O simple ones, will you love being simple? How long will scoffers delight in their scoffing, and fools hate knowledge?" Just like what I mentioned, the people will go their whole lives just ignoring all this wisdom that is being given to them. They're like, I don't want that. I like my simple life. I like how I'm living my life. But in that verse, it's talking about how we're basically saying we hate knowledge. We don't want that special wisdom. And as believers, that's kind of like the Holy Spirit for us. When there is a chance to gain wisdom, the Holy Spirit will be like, you should take this. This is something you should learn. But a lot of times we can push it away and be like, you know what? Nah, I don't want to. It's not that big, not that important. But it's like, no, this is something you need. This will help you in your life. And this isn't just for believers, but this is for non-believers. It's talking about everybody. In verse 24, it says, because I have called you and you refuse to listen, I have stretched out my hand and no one has heeded. Because you have ignored all my counsel and would have none of my reproof. I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when terror strikes you. When terror strikes you like a storm and your calamity comes like a whirlwind. When distress and anguish come upon you. Now, this is a whole big thing. This is what some people might call karma. And obviously, as I don't believe in karma, that's a whole completely different, people would say it comes from a different religion. And I wouldn't say I believe in karma, but I do believe in consequences with your actions. Each action has a reaction. They could be good reactions or they could be bad reactions. But either way, what it's saying here is every action has a reaction. And in this case, it's not good. When you fall, it will laugh at you. Be like, I warned you to not do this, but you did not heed my warning. So now I'm going to let you suffer through this because you did not take my advice. And that's something I've even in my own life have experienced in my own life as well, where I had a chance to learn wisdom. I had someone give me wisdom and I was like, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. I'll be fine. And later I instantly regretted it. I made a big mistake and I knew I was going to have to face those consequences. And that's just a part of life too. It's not just something that's like God is going to purposely punish you. But in a way, think about it like with your parents. When your parents tell you to do something, they will tell you not to do something, and if you don't do it, there will be consequences. And if you disobey, you got to face those consequences. Your parents still love you, but you still have to face those consequences. The same thing goes in here. Verse 24 through 27. Talk about if you fail, I'm going to let you suffer. Not because I like to see you suffer, but it's something that you got to learn. It's the same with God. When we mess up, when God gives us a warning saying, don't do this, do not go down this path, and we deliberately disobey him, God's like, I try to warn you, you're gonna have to go through this consequence, but I'm still here with you. Just like when our parents punish us, they don't just leave us there. For example, when I would get in trouble, if I say I had to get spanked, after getting spanked, my parents would hug me and tell me that we love you and we're not doing this to hurt you, but to do this because we love you and we want to make sure you learn your lesson. It's the same exact thing. And that's what he's trying to encourage us with, is don't fall for that temptation, but fall into that wisdom, lean into that wisdom that God gives us. In 29 says, because they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord, would have none of my counsel and despised all my reproof. Therefore they shall eat the fruits of their way and have their fill of their own devices. For the simple are killed by their turning away, and the complacency of fools destroys them. But whoever listens to me will dwell secure and will be at ease without dread of disaster. So once again, this is just kind of like a wrap up of talking about consequences have action. Actions have consequences. That if we have two options here, we can either go follow God or follow the world. And this will be probably another thing that you guys will see a lot through Proverbs as we go through this book, is we have two options. We can either follow God or we can follow the world. There is consequences for either one. There can be good consequences or bad consequences. It's your choice. God gives us that free will. He's like, I want you to go down this path because I know this path is good for you. But I'm not going to force you to go down this path. You also have the chance to go down this path. But if you go down this path, I can't help you. The only way I can help you is if you follow me down this path. And as human beings, we have that choice. And a lot of humans will choose to go down the path because it looks easier, it looks more fun. And we're like, I want to go down the easy path. But in reality, the easy path is not always the best path. There's a very simple verse in the Bible that talks about there's the straight and narrow path. There's the wide and big wide path where a lot of people go in, but it leads to disaster. But then there's the straight and narrow gate where only a few can make it through. But at the end, there is a glorious reward. And we see that reference here in this passage. Talk about we have two paths. We can do the easy one, which will lead to disaster, or we can follow the hard path. But at the end, it leads to an amazing reward. And that's something I want to encourage you guys with as we go through this passage or go through this book is when we're going through life, think about those options that we have. Are we going to follow God or are we going to follow man? And I encourage you guys, follow God. Follow the path that God gives us. And yes, it is going to be very difficult. It can be horrible sometimes. It's going to be rough. But we're not alone when we go down that path. We have friends. We have family. We have other believers in the church. We have God on our side who is walking next to us through that path. We are not alone. But if we walk down the path with everyone else towards the world, it's going to feel like we're alone. Because in a way, we kind of are. So don't fall for the bad path. Follow God and choose to follow him. Because in the end, it is going to be so, so worth it. And that's what I want to encourage you guys with today. As we continue reading through this book, I really hope that you guys will just take notes as we go along through this. If you guys have questions, please let me know. Put them in the comments, or you are more than welcome to DM me, direct message me on YouTube, on Instagram, any of these. I would love to answer your guys' questions or any comments of encouragement. If this has been an encouragement to you guys, please let me know. I would love to hear that. And if there's any way I could be praying for you guys, please let me know. I would love that. But I hope this is an encouragement for you guys. I know this is an encouragement for me. And I hope you guys and pray that this will be something that will help you guys through your life through this month of June and just be encouragement for you guys, and pray that you guys go and share this with your friends. Have a blessed day, guys, and God bless you, and I will talk to you guys soon.